there was some talk about Shi Koi coming through. Would that be something that you all would do?
Yes, we can allow for this. This being is very eager to come through, as Shi Koi has not been channeled through the one you call Tyler since the initial interview, although Shi Koi has still been an active participant in your collective consciousness, as well as your dream states. We will allow for this being to come through at this time. One moment. Thank you for allowing my energy to be a part of this communication. I am elated to be able to have this dialogue tonight with you. How are you feeling? How are you thinking? How are you doing?
I'm feeling very wonderful. Thank you.
Of course, it is a pleasure to become reacquainted with you in this way.
So you're working with some of us in our dreams?
Yes, precisely. Mainly to get you all more in tune with your earth mind.
With our earth mind, really?
Yes, your earth mind. Remember, you have multiple minds. Just as you say in your sciences, you have your thinking mind, your brain mind. You also have what's called the gut mind. Mm-hmm. We take it a step further. You also have the earth mind. Because the earth, in many ways, is thinking you up. The earth is dreaming you up. And the more aware you become of that collective mind you have, known as the earth mind, the more in harmony with nature your society then becomes. So in your dream world, we are working to connect you very deeply with your earth mind so you can bring in more of the energies from the earth that are natural extensions of your true, authentic signature frequency.
Oh, wow. That's exciting.
It is very exciting. This is in many ways how your society evolves. The idea is when you are rooted to your planet, connected to your planet, working with your planet, you become a part of natural evolutionary processes through the vibratory state of love. So that means you're able to evolve in a way that is very balanced with your world. Because remember, your physical evolutionary processes are mediated by the earth. And if you wish to stay relevant in the ecological systems of your Earth's development, you must in that way be very aware, very grounded, very amplified in your connectivity to the Earth, so you as a species stay relevant in the Earth evolution. When you become too disconnected from the Earth, you don't keep up with the Earth's progress. Many of you feel your society is technologically evolving, technologically advancing. This, in many ways, is a form of mental evolution, you could say, in a rather limited way. A true form of evolution is balanced with the evolutionary momentum of your planet. So when you link up very strongly with your earth mind, it allows for every cell in your body, which has its own sentience, has its own awareness, to in many ways vibrate higher, to be in greater levels of harmony with your planet.
I see. Now, when you described what you did in the first time I spoke to you in this way, it was something about finding excitement, all the probabilities, and making those available to your to the Sassani people.
Yes. Yes.
How does that relate to this? What you just described about what you're doing here, or are those two different roles you have?
They are two different roles that I have.
Okay.
Remember that I am in many ways what you would call an ageless being in terms of my own perception of myself. So I'm able to tune in to various versions of my incarnation at different stages within its development. So I have done a variety of different jobs and tasks throughout my age. So in that way, you could say I'm ageless because in one conversation, I may be tuning into a younger me, where in another conversation, I'm tuning into an older me. The idea is that I am doing many of these tasks across time. I'm not in that way limited to what you call my current version of myself in terms of how I express myself. But remember, when I am doing this, it is also updating my society. When I am interacting with your collective while you are in many ways dreaming, I am not just limited to your collective. My society is also in many ways remote viewing through me. My society is working with me. So this in many ways is opening up the Sassani connection to your physical reality matrix. This in many ways allows for different doorways of interaction in the dream world to open up to members of my collective. So it still in many ways follows suit with that theme of helping my society to better understand different options of exploration so they can better follow their passion. The idea is that I'm not always in your dream world either. This is something that I do cyclically at different moments because the energy patterns of your earth change. There are certain moments in your perception of time that are more auspicious for me to come in and work within.
Now, how would we recognize a Sassani vibration in our dreams?
One of the ways you could recognize it would be through the idea of seeing craft in general. Do you have any memories of seeing craft in the dream?
Not recently, but I have in my past, yes.
All right. Do you remember the state of being you were in when you had that experience, the way the experience felt emotionally or mentally for you?
Well, I've had several different kinds of craft and different dreams, but yeah, it was all usually either positive or somewhat neutral.
All right. Did you see triangular craft?
That doesn't stand out, but would that be a Sassani?
Yes, absolutely. If you see triangular craft, it is very probable it is our society working with you. Generally speaking, the way you feel when you are interacting with the one you call Bashar or listening to these tapes, or the way you feel when you are listening to our words, is about 5% in terms of intensity of how our energy will feel to you in the dream realm. So the idea is to understand the state of being you're in when you are interacting with channeled members of our society, and understand that that vibration will actually be amplified in the dream realm. And the more lucid you can become, the more fine-tuned your senses can be while you're dreaming, so you can begin to realize and recognize you're interacting with members of our society. You may not be able to directly see us because you create dream worlds within your dream reality. Remembering that just as you are a spirit dreaming up the physical reality, and both exist simultaneously, the spiritual dimension where you're planning and organizing all of this, and then the physical version of that you're in, the dreaming realities are very similar. You'll create a dream world, but there will be an underlying dream reality that is where you're organizing your dreaming experience. It parallels in that way the physical. Do you understand so far?
Yes, I do.
So you may become aware of our vibration while you're in the dreaming world, but you might not directly see us because we may be in the underlying dreaming reality working with your higher self. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that seems more common to me because I sense your energy sometimes in my dreams, the Sassani energy. But sometimes that's all I take back with me.
What we would recommend, if you can become lucid, is to follow it.
Okay.
To follow it. This will rapidly shift your dream dynamic, because in many ways you will be raising your dreaming vibration to slip out of the dream world you've created, and you'll then transcend into more of the underlying dreaming reality that you are a part of. And that is where you can have very deep levels of communion with our kind. The idea is when you transcend the creation of the dream world, it's a process where you're raising your vibration, just as you do in your physical reality when you raise your vibration to tune into more of the underlying spiritual aspects of your physical reality. It's paralleled in the dream world. So once you raise your vibration in the dream world, you'll slip into that underlying reality where you get to see behind the scenes. And that's where you get to interact with us. That's where you can actually play with us on what is known as the template level, and we can co-create with you together. This can actually amplify and open up the phenomenon you all call open contact, because you can actually begin to work hand in hand with us to birth in certain events in your reality that are linked to our collective consciousness. So we can then in many ways become much more anchored into your physical lives if that is something you feel excited about. The idea is to practice dramatically raising your vibration while you are awake to the point where it becomes second nature and you can just turn it on. So that way you can do the same thing when you are dreaming. You can just turn on that vibration acceleration process like muscle memory, so you can transcend the dream world and then go right into the dream template reality, where you can then in many ways see the beings that are more behind the scenes, and you can then invite us to work with you.
Okay. Thank you.
You're very, very welcome.
I have just a quick personal question. I have very rarely actually seen a extraterrestrial in my dream, maybe just one time, and I didn't feel afraid, but I've sensed that I'm kind of having them appear as humans, but when I am with them, I can sense that they're actually extraterrestrials because of their energy.
Right.
Why would I be seeing them in that way instead of in their true form?
Because it would wake you up.
Oh.
It would not be a very cozy experience in terms of what you're used to in relationship to the types of beings you encounter while you're awake. It would be very alien to you, and it would jar your consciousness. It would wake you up, and you wouldn't be able to go through the process of interacting with them in the same way. Remember, when you're dreaming, you are much lighter. You are not using the same types of limitations you're using on your consciousness while you're in the wakeful state. So in many ways, a human disguise is utilized by these extraterrestrial beings in the dream world, so you can remain asleep and they can go through certain processes with you. If they showed you their true form, it might wake you up, and it then might take you another cycle of 24 hours for you to then be able to return back to a dreaming state for them to go through those processes. So it's much more convenient to utilize alternate forms in the dream reality to then interact with you.
Okay. But over time, I'll be able to handle that, seeing their natural form?
Yes, of course. One of the things you can do is go through meditative exercises where you're imagining the most exotic of exotic extraterrestrials. And in these meditations, they can be guided. You can even write them for yourself if you want. Interact with them, have conversations with them, touch them, understand what they feel like. Begin to form these kind of relationships. Also, interact with people in your reality who look very different from you. Interact with species in your reality that look very different from you. The more comfortable you can get with different forms and different energies and different expressions of life, the more cozy you will then be in the dream realm to be able to handle more exotic expressions of life.
Okay. That sounds fun. Oh, could you like give us a date where maybe would be most conducive to meet several members of a dream group that we're in on Facebook? And then maybe we can come together and see if we had any experiences.
When you mean in relationship to coordinating a collective dream event?
Yes.
All right. What you'd understand to be your solstices, equinoxes, these are very powerful times. These are times where collectively the energy of your planet and your collective consciousness is peaking. It is peaking so it can make a collective shift into a new chapter of expression within your collective theme. So all of the energies of your collective consciousness and your planet on these dates are in many ways condensing themselves. They are pooling everything together so that way you can collectively make a jump into a new expression of time that you recognize as a seasonal change. So those can be very, very powerful times where dreaming can be amplified, where you are much more aware of the interconnectivity of all beings and all things in your reality. We are scanning for other moments. You can, if you wish, utilize lunar energy to also support you in this. Understanding that beings in your reality who are following their passion, following their excitement, can very easily utilize the energy of the full moon to also amplify that collective intention and direction. The idea would be to do collective full moon activities, meditations together, to do events where you are all collectively gazing at the moon in your respective realities. Each of you, in many ways, thinking of the others in the group while you are gazing at the same moon, even though it's technically a different moon because you're all looking at your own versions of that moon. The idea will be it will in many ways create an imprint of the lunar energy within your collective consciousness that you will then carry with you as you go to bed. The moon also has solar energies that are affecting it, which gives it its glow. And the idea is you're also taking in solar energy when you are gazing at the moon, which improves your ability to remain wakeful while you are sleeping because you're bringing the energy of daytime with you. So lunar energy in that way can be very powerful. The idea would be to work with individuals who are very vigorously following their passion, following their bliss when utilizing the lunar energies.
Okay, that's exciting.
Very exciting. Yeah. And it gives you something to look forward to every month.
Yeah. I did that actually at the last full moon, and I dreamt of someone that night who was there, and she also dreamt of me that same night.
And there you go. You already know.
Yeah. Thank you for your clarification and extra guidance.